Hello. Welcome to Storytime. Today's story is a different kind of story. Do you remember when we had a Choose Your Own Adventure story? It's kind of like that. Today's story is called An Endless Quest. Return to Brookmere. And I'm going to need your help to get through it. Are you ready? Okay. You start the difficult climb to the entrance of a mountain. Large boulders and dirt and heavy wooden beams move beneath your feet. Searching carefully, you find your torch and your sword. That's you. There's no sign of any of your friends. You are alone. You feel that going on alone is dangerous, but your father has trusted you with a very important quest. You know you can't let him down. If you want to give up and return to the surface, turn to page 12. If you would rather explore the dungeon, turn to page 18. Well, which one? I thought so. You enter a long corridor, lit by an eerie green glow, and your torch only sheds a little bit of light. You hear moaning and snuffling and weeping sounds like nothing you've ever heard before, and the corridor opens into what was once a treasure room. Sitting on top of a pile of sparkling jewels in the center of the room is a young gnoll, snuffling into a shabby golden tablecloth and talking to a bored salamander. He says, "They had no right to go off and leave me. I can't help it if I'm different than the rest. I don't like hurting and killing people. All of those nasty orcs hanging around all the time, and they give me the creeps. I tried, I really did, but I couldn't learn to enjoy tearing people limb from limb and all of those other awful gnoll things. They always laugh at me because I'm different. The only thing a real gnoll thinks about, they say, is destruction. You just stay there and play with your pretties. If and when you learn to act like a real gnoll, then you can join us," Estes said. And then they left me. I don't think that's very fair, do you? The salamander doesn't answer. The corridor you're in passes the room where the gnoll sits crying. Now, do you choose to go on without entering the room and fighting the gnoll, or do you want to enter the room and fight the gnoll? Really? Okay. Well, you're very brave. Holding your torch above your head, you grasp your sword. You enter the room at a dead run, screaming at the top of your lungs. Rising up, the gnoll sees you coming. Your sword is pointed straight at its heart. It runs out of a doorway on the other side of the room, begging, "Please don't hurt me," and it disappears down the corridor. Huh. I guess you showed him. Well, I suggest that you take a look around and see what remains of your father's treasures in the treasure room. Pleased with your success, you decide to go through the doorway on the far side of the room and out into the corridor. Turn to page 55. Let's turn to page 55. The corridor is well lit and heavily traveled. Fortunately, it twists and turns. You hear the heavy tramp of boots and duck into an empty room just as a patrol of armed orcs and goblins come around a corner and march past orcs and goblins. Whew. That's pretty scary. You know, there's a lot of monsters in this story. There's a special monster that's a favorite of mine. My friend Eric Leadbetter wrote an amazing song about it. And he's here to tell us. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Leadbetter.
I'm really happy to be back. I wanted to share a song today with you that I wrote called The Mighty Manticore. Has anybody ever heard of a manticore? I'll tell you, they have a lion's face, they have dragon wings, and they have a scorpion tail. They're quite a frightening creature. Well, my nephew, Sawyer, loves manticores, so I wrote a song about them. Does anybody else have an uncle or aunt out there? Any uncles or aunts? I love my aunts and uncles. They're great people. So this one's dedicated to Sawyer and to the aunts and uncles out there watching Storytime with you guys. This is called The Mighty Manticore. There's a tale I'm about to tell of a long lost land in a kingdom veiled by darkness of a beast. And the people swore, this is the tale of the mighty manticore. With wings like thunder, big old fangs, scorpion tail, and a lion's mane. He flies in canyon cracks, hungry for a tasty snack. Manticore, manticore, the mighty manticore. He flies and eats your eyes. He gobbles your ears and munches your thighs. Manticore, manticore, the mighty manticore. You'd better run, you'd better flee. Don't end up a meal. When I wandered to the frightening lair, I awoke the manticore. He bit off all my hair. I tried to escape, but it was too late. He was flying right behind me. He grabbed me in his lion's jaws, dropped me on my high knee. Manticore, manticore, the mighty manticore. He flies and eats your eyes. He gobbles your ribs and munches your thighs. Manticore, manticore, the mighty manticore. You'd better run, you'd better flee. Don't end up a meal. With wings like thunder, big old fangs, scorpion tail, and a lion's mane. He flies through canyon cracks, hungry for a tasty snack. Manticore, manticore, the mighty manticore. You'd better run, you'd better flee. Don't end up a meal to the manticore. The manticore.
That was really good. Okay, better get back to the adventure. The corridor is well lit and seems to be heavily traveled. They're marching away from you. Pick up little bits of conversation. You sneak back into the corridor. That's where we were. Before you know it, you're in a large room where a battle has recently taken place. You see 2 heavily armed hobgoblins at either end of the room. You quickly hide behind a large chest. Behind you is a cloakroom holding many tattered and rumpled goblin and hobgoblin cloaks and helmets. Deciding to use them as a disguise, you slip a goblin cloak on cloak on, and you put a helmet on top of your head, and you carefully tuck your hair inside the hood of your cloak. The wall on the far side of the room shows great destruction. Large boulders lie scattered around the floor, and the earthen wall is braced with a crisscross of metal plates held in place with massive wooden beams. At first you think the destruction was caused during the recent battle, but then you realize the heavy armor they are wearing and the watchful expressions that the hobgoblins and orcs have, that something has recently broken into the corridor from the outside. Do you choose to leap out from behind the chest and attack the hobgoblins? If so, turn to page 99. Or do you choose to try to sneak across to the corridor on the opposite wall? No, you have to tell me which one you want. No, I can't hear you yet. You have to, yeah. No, a little bit louder. Do you want to fight or do you want to sneak? Really? Whew. Well, someone ate their Wheaties today. Fight it is. You give a blood-curdling yell and you leap out from behind the boulder. Instead of being frightened, the two hobgoblins advance towards you. You realize that this was not a wise choice. Oh boy. If you want to try to fight both hobgoblins, turn to page 9. Or if you want to retreat, turn to page 12. Come on, guys. You really want to fight? 2 hobgoblins? Okay. But it's not my fault if something bad happens. Page 9. You realize too late that you have made the wrong choice. Both hobgoblins fall on you, chuckling evilly. Although you fight boldly, you cannot win. One of the hobgoblins rips your amulet from your throat and puts it on his own grubby neck. And then the hobgoblin strolls down the corridor, humming off key, the end of this adventure. Go back to the beginning and choose again. That's the good part about these kind of adventures. Oh well, we'll get them next time. Thanks for coming to Storytime. Let's have another Storytime tomorrow.